Coastal town of Seabrook, Maine, filled with beaches, summer weddings, and secrets that drift like sea mist. Cora Bennett wasn't supposed to be at that wedding. She hadn't seen her cousin Leah in years. Not since her father died. And the family scattered like autumn leaves in a storm. The invitation had arrived months ago, printed in golden ink with elegant cursive. Leah Montgomery Evans Sawyer request the honor of your presence. She almost threw it away. No date. No close relatives left. No one she even knew on that side anymore. But something in her gut told her to go. Maybe it was the way her job at the library felt like a cage lately. Or maybe it was just loneliness. So she bought a dress off clearance, booked a one-night motel room, and told herself she'd stay quiet, clap politely, and leave unnoticed. She had no idea her life was about to change. The venue was stunning. White orchids, strings of fairy lights, and the ocean stretching just beyond the cliffs. Everyone looked like they belonged in a movie, beautiful, rich, connected. And then there was Cora, sitting alone at table 14. Everyone else was coupled up, laughing in their designer gowns, sharing toasts. She played with her water glass, her stomach tight. She hadn't eaten all day, nerves mostly. When the dancing started, her chair felt colder. She forced a smile as the server brought another flute of champagne she wouldn't drink. And then, a deep, warm voice from behind. "Mind if I sit here?" She looked up, and the man smiling down at her was Ethan Hawthorne. Yes, that Ethan Hawthorne, the tech mogul who'd been on Forbes covers, the silent partner in dozens of companies, and the groom's college roommate. She blinked. Sure. But why?" He smiled. "Because you look like you could use a little rescue, and I'm surprisingly good at those." He sat down, loosened his tie, and said, "Tell me your story." Cora laughed nervously but found herself answering. She told him about her quiet librarian job in Vermont, her love of old books, and her dream of restoring a historic bookstore one day. To her surprise, Ethan actually listened, leaning in, asking thoughtful questions, making jokes that landed. "No date?" he asked gently. "No friends here," she replied with a shrug. His voice softened. "You and me both." He explained how, despite his money and image, he didn't believe in love anymore. Said he'd been burned, betrayed by a woman who loved his bank account more than his heart. They ended up skipping the cake and wandering outside to watch the waves hit the rocks. Cora said, "Sometimes I feel invisible." Ethan looked at her. "I see you." A light drizzle began as they stood by the cliff's edge. She shivered. Ethan took off his jacket and placed it on her shoulders. The moment was almost cinematic, too perfect. "I should go," she said suddenly, the old fear creeping in. "This feels like something I'll regret hoping for." He caught her hand gently. "Then don't hope, just feel." They walked the rest of the night. No music, no pretenses. Just two people are too used to being alone, finally speaking the same language. At breakfast the next day, she half expected him to be gone. But there he was, same smile, 2 coffees, and a note scribbled on a napkin. "Come to Boston next weekend. Let's talk books and dreams." She hesitated, then nodded. That weekend in Boston felt like a dream. Ethan took her to rare bookstores, tiny cafes, and rooftop gardens. They talked for hours, laughed till their sides hurt. He wasn't flashy around her. No limos, no showboating. Just a man who finally didn't want to hide behind his fortune. One night, while sitting under the stars on his townhouse terrace, he whispered, "You make the world quieter, Cora. I haven't felt peace like this in years." She touched his cheek and whispered, "Then let me stay." But just when things seemed to bloom, his ex-fiancée showed up. The tabloids splashed headlines like "Hawthorne's Mystery Librarian" and "Gold Digger or Real Deal." Cora felt the old fear return, of not being enough, not being rich, glamorous, important. "I can't be a headline," she cried one night. Ethan, furious at the media, said, "Then I'll shut them up. I'll make it clear we're serious." But that scared her more. "Don't change your life for me. I don't belong in your world." She left. Back home in Vermont, she buried herself in books. But every chapter reminded her of him. Every quiet moment felt loud without him in it. Weeks passed. One evening, she walked into the library and found an envelope addressed to her. Inside, a deed to an abandoned bookstore in town, and a note, for the girl who once dreamed out loud under fairy lights. Let this be the first chapter. E.H. 3 days later, she found him outside the shop, holding a bouquet of wildflowers. I don't care what the world says. I care what you feel. Build this place with me. Build a life. No suits, no press. Just us. She looked at him. This man who sat beside her at a table of strangers, and somehow saw her in a way no one else ever had. Tears filled her eyes. Only if I get to name the bookstore. He grinned. Deal. 1 year later, Chapter 1 Books opened on the coast of Vermont. Locals came in for coffee and stories, and tourists left with tales of the billionaire who fell in love with a librarian. But Cora and Ethan didn't care what they said. Because in that little shop filled with paper and hope, they'd already found their happy.